the sports media industry has changed since I arrived in the 1990s and had to borrow an old Radio Shack Tandy in order to file my deadline story. And I can remember going out into high schools and searching for phone lines so I could plug them into my laptop to file a deadline story on a high school game. And things have really changed. You have to be of a certain age to even get those references. And I know my audience here probably is right about there. But Grantland Rice would barely recognize the modern sports department. Things have changed so much. And what that means is the role of a university has changed as well. When it comes to preparing young journalists and broadcasters for the field. Because we need to make sure we're getting our students hands-on experience with the tools of emerging media and making sure that their investment in higher education pays off once they enter the industry. And yet, we can't be so focused on those changes that we overlook what the core of that education is, and it's about personal credibility, integrity, and being nimble enough to adapt to understand the people and subjects we cover just as thoroughly as we understand the technology. And this is why Seton Hall is so well positioned tonight. Here we are, founded by a giant like Bob Lee, the celebrant at tonight's bar mitzvah, and honoring an absolute icon in Robin Roberts. Seton Hall has a tradition of excellence in athletics and a deep sense of purpose. And with a diverse student body and a significant percentage of first-generation college students, Seton Hall has the ability to prepare non-traditional students to be leaders in this field. And we got all of you in a room tonight, so we're doing okay to start. I'm excited to get started, and your support tonight is making that possible. If you like what you see, please reach out. If you think there's an idea that would make us a better place, a panel we could do, a discussion that we could have, I'm all ears. Please reach out to me. The Seton Hall Center for Sports Media is off to an auspicious start, and we hope you'll be a part of it. And one of the key benefits being so close to the city and well connected is our network of media industry influencers. Here's an example of the latest endorsement that we received from Alex Rodriguez last year.
I love it. I think Seton Hall has an incredible opportunity to be the go-to-school university when it comes to media and broadcasting. And if you see what Bob Lee and Barty and others are doing around it, the new president has a great message. I'm very bullish when it comes to Seton Hall, where they're at, but where they're going.
And now we'd like to call all hands on deck and welcome some of our students and alumni to the stage to tell us about the impact that Seton Hall has had on their lives and careers. So please join me in welcoming Isabella Wiseman, a current sophomore, class of 2025. Wilnir Louis, class of 2021, and currently pursuing a master's degree with us, so he's in for it. And Fox Sports broadcaster and reporter John Fanta, class of 2017. I feel like this is a little bit like a Christmas Carol where we have, the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future with us on the stage. But I want to give everyone a sense of what the experience is like at Seton Hall and what makes it so special. So, John, why don't you start us off by if you could tell us how Seton Hall prepared you for the role that you currently have.
Well, Dr. Nair talks about the power of the place. The power of the place at Seton Hall University is seen through the people inside this room right now, Jane. It's seen through the people like yourself, like when I texted you yesterday morning and said, hey, I'm on campus, I'm around, are you around? And I walked towards Jane's office, her door is already wide open. It's seen through our director of athletics, Brian Felt, whose door is always open, whether it be for student athletes or a student in the media space, because he went to Seton Hall and he interned at NBC back in the day and worked on the Keith Olbermann show. How Seton Hall prepared me for my current role with Fox Sports starts with the people on campus. And when I came to Seton Hall, I knew nobody and really didn't know exactly what the pathway was to getting into a career in media. But I learned about it because every time I talked with a Bob Lee, every time I talked with a Pat Lyons, every time I talked with somebody on the university side and they offered their wisdom, at the end of the conversation I would say, what can I do for you? And the answer was always the same. Go do it for somebody else when the time comes along. That is, at its core, the Seton Hall University way. And now, with a Center for Sports Media, You not only have the people, you have the programming to drive this ship forward.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's great. Okay, no pressure on your answer, Wilnir. It doesn't have to be quite that good. No, but Wilnir, if you could tell us, because you've had a couple of years on campus as an undergrad and now as a graduate student, what have you seen and what do you imagine could be on campus? What is it that you'd like to see from the center?
Well, I mean, being the old wise man on campus, as this is my 6th year, you see a lot. And, to go to John's point, just being able to see everybody, from alumni, even the students on campus, really being open to being a part of the organizations. I think that what the center could be is that it could have that exposure. Number one, I think that Seton Hall has such a great network. It has such a great sports media, organizations on campus, whether it's the radio station with WSU, whether it's the TV station with Pirate Television, whether it's, Pirate Sports Network, whether it's even the Setonian. They have all these great organizations, but, I feel like that there could be a little bit more of a national spotlight, on that end because, again, it's so great, but not a lot of people know about it just because Seton Hall is a little bit more of a smaller, campus. It's not one of your bigger colleges that you will see in the nation. So I think that's number one, just being able to have that national exposure so that more people, whether they're coming from California, Washington, North Dakota, that they're able to know, okay, Seton Hall is one of the top universities in the nation when it comes to sports media. And I think number two, from what I've seen on campus, that video that we saw at the beginning of the program, like that video makes me emotional because I was a part of that. I was, in the mix essentially when all those things were being recorded. When that Spanish no-hitter was called, I was the sports director of WSU at the time, and being able to schedule that game was a lot to start off with, but being able to just continue to get that, going, and then being able to have the one game be the no-hitter that Seton Hall had, the first one I think in a couple of years, like to see that just shows the diversity on this campus as well. And for me, I came in as a sports management major. I didn't really know I wanted to get into sports media, but in the organizations on campus, getting involved, having those opportunities, being able to travel, meeting all the fine faculty members and all the alumni really allowed me, one, to develop my passion that I didn't know I had coming into on campus, which was sports media, but two, just being able to make that meaningful content that hopefully works out for me when I graduate come May.
Exactly. Well, and one of those fine faculty members who's here tonight who deserves some mention is BJ Schechter, who was absolutely foundational in getting some of these things and these programs started. So nod to BJ as well, for sure. And so now I want to turn to Belle because Belle, when she came in as a freshman last year, she was not thinking that sports media was going to be your passion and your future. What happened?
So I wanted to get involved in campus as much as possible just because, so I'm from Queens, New York, and no one from my high school was going to Seton Hall. And a lot of my friends were going to colleges together, so they had someone that they knew. So I knew no one from Queens coming into Seton Hall. And I grew up having such a great love for sports. And I thought back to my 10, 12-year-old self watching Sports Center on Sundays with my dad. And those were core memories for me. And I thought, oh, that'd be so cool if I could be on Sports Center or MLB Network. One of my friends who's involved with Pirate Sports Network sent me an Instagram post that said, hey, if you want to get involved in sports media or sports broadcasting, like this is the place for you. And so I did my first broadcast. I worked a camera at a women's basketball game, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm holding a professional camera. This is amazing. And then, when I started doing more broadcasts, I started doing graphics. I started doing replay. I started now this year directing and working with social media. It really changed my perspective in what I wanted to do. And I am loving what I'm doing. I'm so happy with what I'm doing. Pirate Sports Network gave me that love for sports media, and not just the organization itself, but the people in it. Like you guys were talking about before, my people in PSN, you guys really taught me so much, and you taught me so much more about having a love for sports. And I think that's what's so great about the Center for Sports Media and what that can do for other people who might not know if, I really don't know if I want to go into sports media. Get involved. Do what you can to learn something new. And I'm really excited to see where this is all going to go.
I actually had the pleasure of seeing Belle put together a camera after carrying it to the field for a men's soccer game this week. And it was just and the next thing you knew, there was a camera. It was all set up on the field. John, can you just tell us what's the benefit of having the sports program that we have at Seton Hall, and how does that assist when it comes to sports media?
It's an on-campus laboratory. You're talking about the Big East Conference, you're talking about high-level athletics, and you're talking about student-driven production. You just heard Belle talk about being a part of a soccer match production last night, and you were on a team of what? Students. Wilnir's the same way, and back when I was at the Hall, it was that way starting out. So now, Jane, to your question, when you get through your 9:30 to 11:45 course, then you have a 2 o'clock to 3:30 course, you are quite literally walking a matter of 50 steps from a classroom atmosphere and heading over to a production truck that's in place on the campus, and you're being a part of a production team. You just spoke so well about your colleagues in the Pirate Sports Network who are with us here tonight. When you step into one of those trucks on campus for a soccer match, a volleyball match, a baseball game, a softball game, it is not a third-party producer or director coming in. It's someone like Belle, someone like Wilnir. It's a student. And as much as they go through the highs, they also go through the lows. No TV show, no live TV show is perfect. I learned how to make mistakes at Seton Hall, and that's a good thing. It's okay to fail. It is. I mean, Bob Lee hasn't failed, but he's a general, for heaven's sake. But the point is, when you have that incorporated on your campus and you get to be a part of that as a student, the potential is limitless in opportunity.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being up here tonight. I mean, it really means a lot to have your perspective and to get to learn a little bit more about the program and who is going to be impacted by your support and by nights like tonight and by pulling together for Bob Lee and everybody else. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate that.